We had a shared calendar. She marked book club every Friday. One Friday, I showed up with snacks and found her and a guy in a bathrobe. She screamed, "You're not supposed to be here." I said, "Neither is he." Took a photo, left the snacks, and updated the calendar to say plot twist. I'm not the kind of guy who shares personal stuff online, but I need to get this off my chest. Maybe it helps someone else out there. Maybe I just need to write it out to make sense of it. Either way, here goes. I'm a 42-year-old husband and father from Boise, Idaho. I've been married to my wife, Natalie, for 12 years. We have two amazing kids. Our daughter is 10, and our son is 7. Natalie's a high school English teacher. I work in IT support for a small software company. We met in college, got married a few years later, and built what I thought was a solid life together. We're one of those organized couples. Shared calendars, shared grocery lists, the whole deal. Our Google Calendar basically ran our lives. Doctor's appointments, school events, dinners, date nights, everything went on there. And for the last 3 years, Natalie had a recurring event every Friday night from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. labeled Book Club. She said it was a group of teacher friends who met to talk about books and unwind. It sounded harmless. I never questioned it. I trusted her. I'd take the kids to a movie, get pizza, hang out at the park, whatever. I thought it was important she had time for herself. But over the last few months, I noticed small changes. She'd be really dressed up for book club. Full makeup, perfume, new clothes. It wasn't over the top, just more than usual. I teased her about it once, and she laughed it off, said the girls were just trying to make it more fun. Okay, no big deal. Then her phone started living in her hand. She'd smile at texts but wouldn't show me. Not suspicious behavior by itself, but enough to make me feel a little off. One night, I asked her what they were reading. She paused for a second, then said, "Oh, we're between books right now, just chatting lately." That's when the first real red flag hit me. Still, I didn't press. I didn't want to seem like a paranoid husband. I told myself I was overthinking. Then came the Friday that changed everything. Our daughter caught a stomach bug. I stayed home with her while Natalie went off to book club. Before she left, I asked if she still wanted to go, and she said yeah. It was a long week, and she needed the break. She left at 5:45 p.m. Around 7, I noticed her Kindle was sitting on the kitchen counter. So I texted her, "Hey, you left your Kindle. Want me to drop it off?" No response. At 7:30, I called. Went straight to voicemail. At that point, I was just annoyed. I figured she was too deep in book talk or wine or whatever. But something just didn't sit right. So I checked the Kindle. The last book opened was over 3 months ago. Nothing recent. That was the moment I started to seriously doubt what was going on. Still, I didn't want to believe anything bad. I told myself I was being dramatic, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. The next Friday, I made a plan. I told her I was taking the kids to see a movie at the mall. In reality, I dropped them off at my sister's house. I picked up her favorite snacks, cheddar popcorn, dark chocolate, a bottle of red. I figured if I was wrong, I'd just surprise her with a thoughtful gesture. If I was right. Well, she screamed, "You're not supposed to be here." I said, "Neither is he." Took out my phone. Snapped a photo. Just one. I handed her the bag of snacks and walked back to my car. She followed me, begging me to talk. Crying. Saying, "It's not what it looks like." You know, the usual. I didn't respond. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I drove away. I went home. Locked the door. Put the kids to bed after picking them up. I didn't say a word to anyone. Later that night, I opened our Google Calendar. Changed book club to plot twist. That's when the call started. She called me 11 times in 1 hour. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. Then the email. A long one. She admitted to everything. Said it started 6 months ago. It was someone she met at a teacher training event. It was just physical. Just a distraction. Never meant to hurt anyone. Said she still loved me. Said she wanted to fix it. Said she hated herself for it. Said it was the worst mistake of her life. I didn't respond. I moved into the guest room. Told her to sleep somewhere else. The next morning, we talked logistics, kids, school, work. We kept it civil. But I told her clearly, I wasn't making any decisions yet. That was 2 weeks ago. I'm writing this now because I don't know what comes next. We've started therapy, both individual and couple sessions. But I'm numb. She's trying. Says all the right things. But my brain replays that moment at the door over and over. Her robe. His robe. The wine glass. The smell of her perfume. The shocked look. The panic. It won't leave me. I don't know if I can come back from this. I keep thinking of the times I trusted her. The nights I took care of the kids while she was off with him. The gifts I bought her. The things I shared with her. And she lied to my face. Week after week. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Not sure how this ends. I don't want to destroy our family, but I also don't want to live with someone who betrayed me like that. The trust is shattered. And every Friday night still makes my stomach turn. About a week after everything went down, I finally asked her for his name. Why does it matter? She said. Because he was in our life without me knowing. I deserve to know who the hell he is. She hesitated. Then she said it. Mark. Mark is not just some random guy. He's married. Has 2 kids. One of them goes to the same elementary school as our daughter. I nearly punched a hole in the wall. So not only was she was cheating with another married parent in our community. A guy I probably stood next to during a school fundraiser or some parent-teacher night. I couldn't breathe. Now every time I drop the kids off or pick them up, I'm scanning the parking lot like a lunatic, wondering if he's there. Wondering if his wife knows. Wondering if he'll come up to me and say something stupid. She swore it was over. Swore she told him to leave her alone. Swore she blocked him. I didn't believe a word of it. 2 nights later, I logged into our phone plan account. I don't know why I didn't think to check it sooner. There it was. Call logs, texts, even photos sent back and forth, late nights, early mornings. During lunch breaks. While she was at home. While I was bathing the kids. While we were watching TV together. There was even one day she texted me, "Love you," and 5 minutes later sent Mark a mirror selfie. In the bathroom. Wearing the same shirt. I couldn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling. Thinking. Replaying it all. Every moment that now looked different in the rearview mirror. Yeah, we were doing therapy. I showed our couple's therapist the phone records. Natalie cried. Said she was ashamed. Said she never thought I'd look. Said she was trying to protect me from the worst of it. Protect me? Give me a break. After the session, I told her we needed space. Real space. She offered to move into her sister's house for a while. I agreed. The kids were confused. I told them Mom needed some time to take care of something important and that she loved them very much. I didn't lie, but I didn't tell them everything either. A few days later, I'm at the grocery store. Normal errand. Just picking up cereal and milk. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I check it. It's a woman. She says, "Hi, you don't know me, but my name is Hannah. I'm Mark's wife. I think we need to talk." I stood there frozen in the frozen food aisle. I must have looked insane. I called her back in the parking lot. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Like someone who had cried for hours and was now on the other side of it. She said she had seen the messages on Mark's phone. That he had lied for months. When she confronted him, he told her everything, including my wife's name. She asked if we could meet. No drama. Just talk. I said yes. We met at a quiet cafe downtown. Mid-afternoon. We sat at a corner table. She looked tired. Worn out. But she spoke clearly. She told me things I didn't know. That Mark and Natalie had been meeting at hotels. That they took a weekend trip back in November under the excuse of a teacher conference. That there were gifts. She pulled out her phone. Show me a picture. A watch. An expensive one. Said it was a gift from Natalie to Mark. Said it had their initials engraved on the back. I stared at it. Why? How? How deep was this? Hannah said she wasn't sure if she was staying or going. That she had 2 kids to think about. That Mark was begging her not to leave. We sat in silence for a long time. Before I left, I said, "I'm sorry. None of this is your fault." She looked at me and said, "Same to you." She was livid. She called me screaming. Said I had betrayed her trust by talking to Mark's wife. I laughed. I actually laughed. Trust. I said, "You don't get to use that word anymore." She said I was trying to ruin her life. That she was losing everything and now she was going to be the target of gossip at school. Good, I said. You earned it. Then she hung up. Here's where it gets messy, eh? Our daughter came home from school yesterday and asked, "Dad, why does Mommy live somewhere else now?" I froze. Then she said, "Some kid at lunch said his dad kissed Mommy. He said he saw them at the pool last summer." That kid? Was Mark's son. I was stunned. My daughter doesn't even fully know what cheating is, but now she's caught in the crossfire of rumors and messy adult lies. So now I'm dealing with fallout from Natalie's actions, and trying to protect my kids from the emotional landmine we're all walking through? I don't know. Part of me wants to burn it all down, file for divorce, go public, let people know the truth. Another part of me wants to disappear for a while. Just take the kids, go somewhere quiet, and breathe. Natalie keeps texting. Long messages. Apologies. Promises. She says I'm being cold. That I've changed. That she doesn't even recognize me anymore. She's right. I have changed. She did that. It's been a few more weeks. Thought things might cool down. They didn't. Since Natalie moved in with her sister, communication between us has been strictly about the kids. Drop-offs, pickups, school stuff. I kept it short, emotionless. She kept trying to sneak in personal messages. I miss you. Can we talk after bedtime? Please just let me explain one more time. I ignored all of it. But the universe wasn't done playing games with me. Here's what happened next. I got an email on a Monday morning. Subject line, you don't know me, but I know her. It wasn't spam. The sender was someone named Carlos. The message was short. I worked at the hotel Natalie and Mark used to meet at. I recognized her from a school fundraiser. Figured you should know there's a lot more going on. I'm willing to talk if you want the truth. At first, I thought it was a scam, but he included the hotel name, one Natalie had stayed at for work once before. A hotel downtown. I'd even dropped her off at once, thinking she had a conference. I responded, skeptical. We set up a phone call. He said he was a night desk manager. Worked there for 2 years. Said Natalie and Mark were regulars. He even remembered the fake names they used on the reservation, Lily and John. So they came in almost every Friday night from October through March. He didn't say anything before because, in his words, not my business. Until I saw your daughter's school fundraiser on TV and recognized her mom. He also said Natalie once came in alone. She didn't meet Mark that time. She was crying in the lobby. Drank a whole bottle of wine by herself in the room and left early. That stuck with me. Why was she crying? Was it guilt? Or something else? I thanked him for the info. Asked him not to reach out to Natalie. He said he wouldn't. A few days later, my 7-year-old son was playing on the iPad. I had already wiped it of anything connected to Natalie's emails or photos. I thought it was clean. But apparently, Natalie had synced one of her cloud drives to it months ago. He came to me and said, Dad, why is Mommy kissing someone who isn't you? I nearly dropped my coffee. I took the iPad. Opened the photo app. There were hundreds of pictures I didn't recognize. Most of them were harmless, classroom stuff, random memes, screenshots of recipes. But buried in there were photos of her and Mark. On a boat. At a hotel balcony. One of them was too far. I deleted them. All of them. Backed up the drive to my laptop first though, just in case. Mark's wife. She sounded panicked. I think he's seeing someone else now, she said. Wait, what? She said she saw a text pop up on Mark's phone. A different woman's name. Different tone. Not Natalie. She confronted him. He denied it. Then admitted it. Said things with Natalie were over anyway. That she was too emotional. I sat there stunned. So let me get this straight. My wife blew up our life for a guy who never even intended to stay with her. Who was already jumping ship to the next woman before the smoke cleared. Hannah and I sat in silence. I said, she still thinks he loves her. Hannah said, she's not the first woman he's lied to. Then she told me something that turned my stomach inside out. Apparently, during one of their arguments, Mark let it slip that he'd hooked up with someone else at a conference. Natalie found out. Got upset. But still met him 2 days later at the same hotel. Still kissed him. Still slept with him. That was the weekend I took the kids to McCall, and she said she had a teacher grading retreat. That weekend is burned into my brain. I remember our daughter found a cool pine cone and said, we should give this to Mommy. I remember texting Natalie a picture of the kids eating ice cream by the lake. While I was doing that, she was with him, knowing he'd cheated, and still choosing him. Last Friday, another book club night on the calendar. I don't even know why she kept it there. Muscle memory, maybe. Anyway, I updated it again. Changed it to, the lies you tell yourself. She noticed. Because 10 minutes later, I get a knock at my door. It's her. Tears. Real ones. Makeup smeared. Hoodie. No dramatic clothes this time. She asked to come in. I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no either. We stood in the doorway. She said, I'm pregnant. That was it. 3 words. I stared at her. No words came out. She looked scared. Terrified, even. I finally asked, is it mine? She paused, just for a second, but it felt like a punch. Then she said, I don't know. And that's where I'll leave it for now. Because I don't know either. I don't know anything anymore. Let me take you to that night. The night she stood at my door and dropped 3 words that knocked the wind out of my chest. I'm pregnant. My head spun. My mouth was dry. I asked the only thing a person can ask when they've been betrayed in every possible way. Is it mine? She paused, just for a second. But it was a second too long. I don't know, she whispered. And that's when I knew. This wasn't about us anymore. This wasn't just a broken marriage. This was a complete collapse. I let her in, not because I wanted to, because I needed to hear everything. She sat on the edge of the couch, hands in her lap, like she was a guest in a stranger's home. I stood, pacing, breathing like someone who'd just run a mile through fire. She told me the truth. They hadn't used protection. Ever. She said it was the passion. That it didn't feel wrong at the time. I asked her, were you trying to get pregnant? She said no. Swore it. Said it was an accident. A mistake. Like the affair? I shot back. She cried harder. Said she never wanted this. Said she thought she had feelings for him, but that he made her feel disposable. That he ghosted her as soon as his wife found out. That she felt used. I laughed bitterly. You blew up our life for a guy who left you the second it got real. She screamed, don't you think I know that? Then she started blaming herself, then blaming me. Said I emotionally checked out years ago. That I was more of a roommate than a husband. That she felt alone. I said, then why didn't you say something? Why didn't you talk to me instead of screwing another dad in our kids' school? Silence. She had no answer. She left that night sobbing. I didn't follow. I didn't text. I just sat there, in the dark, listening to the fridge hum, the clock tick, my heart break. The next day, Hannah, Mark's wife, called me. She already knew. Turns out Natalie had texted Mark, trying to pin the baby on him. He told Hannah. Said he wanted nothing to do with it. Said it wasn't his problem. Hannah was furious. Not just at him, but at Natalie too. She told me she was filing for divorce. That she was taking the kids and leaving town. Said she didn't want her kids growing up near this kind of mess. I couldn't blame her. I hung up and sat on the back porch for what felt like hours. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just existed. That night, my sister came over. She'd been watching the kids while all this happened. She said, I don't know what she was thinking, but you didn't deserve this. That was the first time someone said it out loud. I didn't even know how much I needed to hear it. The next week was hell. Word spread. Fast. Apparently, one of the PDA moms overheard Natalie crying in the school parking lot while arguing on the phone with Mark. Another saw her throw up in the teacher's lounge. Someone else spotted her coming out of the OB-GYN downtown. It didn't take long before the story reached the school board. The principal. The kids. One of our daughter's classmates told her, my mom says your mom kissed someone who's not your dad. That night, she asked me what it meant. I told her, sometimes grown-ups make big mistakes. But you're not the mistake. You're the best thing that ever happened to us. She didn't get it, but she hugged me. Hard. And I held her like I was trying to keep myself from falling apart. A week later, Natalie and I sat down, not as lovers, not even as friends. Just 2 people with children and chaos between them. She asked what I wanted to do. I said, divorce. She didn't fight it. Just nodded. Said she'd find a lawyer. That she was going to take a leave from school. Said she might move to her parents' place out of town. I said okay. She asked if I hated her. I said no. I feel nothing, I told her. And that hurts more than hate ever could. So here we are. I filed the papers. We have temporary custody arrangements. The paternity test is pending. I'm preparing for both answers. Doesn't matter, really. The damage is done. People talk. They always will. But I walk through town now without flinching. I show up at school events. I shake hands. I smile at my kids. Because they need me solid. Natalie's a ghost now. A name in legal forms. Oh, what happened in whispered conversations. She texts updates. Sends school emails. It's civil. Cold. Sometimes, I wonder if she regrets it. Deep down. But it doesn't matter anymore. This story started with a calendar and a fake book club. It ends with a shattered home, 2 broken marriages, and a baby that may or may not be mine. But here's what I know. I'm still standing. I'm still a dad. I'm still me. Maybe a little more broken, a little more guarded, but maybe stronger too. I don't believe in fairy tales anymore, but I do believe in survival. And sometimes, survival is the best ending you can ask for.